So they thought that it was going to be a final three instead of a final two. So Suri was absolutely heartbroken when Amanda ends up winning the final three immunity challenge, takes Parvati to the final two, and then Suri ends up getting completely robbed in third place, extremely close to winning. She then comes back for season 20, Heroes versus Villains, and gets idled out of the game before the merge even hits. Somebody else plays an idol and she gets the second most votes and gets eliminated. And then the fourth time she played, Star of Game Changers, she got eliminated by default because every single other person had an idol, and then somebody else had immunity. So one person had immunity, three people had an idol, one person had some sort of advantage that could keep her safe, and then Suri was the only person that could possibly be eliminated, and she ended up getting eliminated. Gosh, dang. And she's been robbed so many times. She's played amazing games. Three of her four games are absolutely amazing, and it's a shock that she hasn't won. So she is number four by the fans. Number three, Boston Robb. Boston Robb is a very dominant player. The first time he played, he was voted out pretty early, but he played a very dominant game. So he was very entertaining. He was like the godfather at that point. So people were like, they really did see something in him. They decided to bring him back for an all-star season. So season 4 was his first time playing. Season 8 was the next time. And in season 8, he ends up marrying the person that he takes to the final two. So he meets his future wife on the show. And they were loyal to the end. And despite being an obvious showmance, I like to call it, a romance on a show, despite it being obvious that no one went after them, it was amazing. The fact that they were able to not even hide that and be obvious about it is just incredible. That they were able to make it all the way to the end. And there was so many opportunities where he could have taken a shot at one of them, and they decided not to. The other people decided not to take a shot at Robb and Amber. Amber's the future wife. So there was just once this time at Final 10 where there was a tribe swap right before, first time in the whole game, that Robb and Amber were separated. Robb's tribe wins immunity, and the Amber tribe has to go to tribal council to vote somebody out. And Amber's going into a tribe where she doesn't know anybody because they aren't from any of her original tribes. She got unlucky with a swap and ended up getting pretty swap screwed there. And then Robb whispers to Lex, who was on Amber's team but wasn't in Amber's alliance, "You take care of Amber, I'll take care of you in the future." And Lex ends up taking up to that promise, but Boston Robb does not. So Lex keeps Amber and votes out another woman in his alliance, Jerry, and they enter the merge, and then Boston Robb slits Lex's throat, not literally, but backstabs him, and he gets blindsided in epic fashion. It was an amazing betrayal, and it's one of the reasons why I still watch Survivor. He then comes back a third time, played pretty dominant, but there was one mistake that somebody made that really screwed up the numbers. He ended up getting eliminated pretty early that time. And then the fourth time he plays, he wins. The fourth time he plays, that was the first time that he had actually won, because even in All Stars, the second time he played, he wasn't able to win. He goes to the end with Amber, and then Amber beats him. So in a 4-3 vote. But then he comes back the fourth time he plays. He was in an alliance that dominated the whole game. He implemented this thing called a buddy system, where he was basically like, "Hey, nobody talk to over there." He has a very thick Boston accent. "Nobody ever talk to anybody over there in the minority. We're strong. We're the majority. Don't betray anybody here, and we're not going to talk to anybody there, and we're always going to vote strong here." So I've talked with Boston Rob before on Zoom. I had an opportunity to. It was a lot of fun talking to him, being a super fan of Survivor. And I'm not even wearing my buff. So he dominated. It was absolutely incredible. Everything about it. And he's one of the reasons that I still watch to this day. So number 2, I have there's definitely an argument for her being my favorite Survivor ever. Definitely my favorite female Survivor ever. At number 2, I have at number 2 the fans voted Parvati. So Parvati, she is someone who has played Survivor 4 times. The first time that she played a very flirtatious game, but she ended up entering the merge in a bit of a bad situation. There ended up being a flip, and she ended up being on the wrong side of the vote. But then the next time she played, which was Micronesia, she was part of the Black Widow Brigade. So she was part in, Eric giving up immunity. And she was really a controller and somebody who was really keeping that amazing Black Widow Brigade alliance together. It was absolutely incredible. Season 40 was the 4th time she played. I'm going to skip the 3rd time because that was the time that really impressed me. I'm going to keep best for last. Season 40, she ends up getting swap screwed. She ended up being in a pretty good spot before that. Getting targeted a little bit, for the most part, she was able to survive. And then once the swap hits, she's down in numbers. She wasn't really able to get out of that bad situation. And she ends up getting screwed over. The third time that she plays, though, is the one that I really loved. It was amazing. So she finds an idol on her original tribe. She's then able to take that into the merge. This other guy, Russell, was given an idol by the other tribe to save him in an attempt to try and get him onto their side come a merge come to try and get the numbers. But Russell ends up not having to save himself with that idol because he ends up being better situated than the other tribe thought he was. He then keeps that idol, brings it into the merge, and then Russell and Parvati chat, and then Russell gives the idol to Parvati so that she can play it on herself, him thinking that Parvati was going to be the one that was going to be the recipient of the votes from the other tribe. And that ends up not being the case. So now Parvati has the one idol that she found on original tribe and the one that Russell gave to her. She suspects that the other tribe would be worried to vote her because they know that she has an idol. I'm not exactly sure how that cat got out of the bag, but it did. And then she's like, okay, I think that they're too nervous to vote me. They're probably going to vote somebody else. So she pulls out both idols at one tribal, and she plays them on two of her allies on her side of the alliance. And then idols JT, another guy, out of the game. And then that really switched up the power. And then she ends up being very dominant from then on. It was an amazing play, amazing to watch. And I've absolutely loved watching her on my screen. And number 1, Tony Vlachos. This guy, similar to Sandra, has won the show twice. And he is very famous for spy blanks. So he'll have all these different spy mechanics to spy on people to see if they are throwing his name out there for possible elimination. So first he had the spy shack. So then he would jump in a bush, and then he would just peek through the bushes. He would have this spy shack right next to the water well, because a lot of people go there to get water, because they're deprived of even water, fresh water source. They have to get it out of a well, a dirty well, and then boil it to make it good. So there's this well, and he would just watch people to see if they're voting him out, just try and see where their head's at. It was absolutely amazing to watch. And he ends up winning that season. No surprise. He's a genius. And then he comes back a second time and gets targeted really early, gets voted out second, very early, voted out second, because they knew how much of a threat he was. That time he made a spy bunker where he digged a hole, and then he jumped inside the hole and was like, and then he was just like watching people like this, just watching people. And he did this like right near like the well. So then he was trying to see what people's heads were at. And then the third time he plays was an all-winner season. He wins the all-winner season. So this was his second win. He makes a spy nest. So he climbs up a tree, gets all this, makes, I don't know, what's a nest made out of? Hay? Sticks? I don't know. Piles it all on top of each other, then sits there like a hen, and then just watches everybody. Sees where their head's at. And there was one point in the game, he didn't tell production about this at first because he didn't want cameras to be following him, because that looks very suspicious to everybody else. But after, he was telling confessionals about this spy nest, there was like 1,000,000 GoPros up in the air recording this. It was absolutely amazing. And he got some valuable information. Like at the well, somebody revealed that they had an idol, and he ended up being right there, perched in the tree to see all this. So it was absolutely amazing. He wins a second time. He's amazing. He is the GOAT of Survivor, greatest of all time. Absolutely. And he's not just number 1 by the fans, but he's also number 1 on my top 100 list in terms of how good of a player they are. Yeah, so Survivor's purity has changed a lot. There's from season 1 to 10, there wasn't really idols, and now, there's mechanics where you can win your way back in the game. There's advantages like extra vote, steal a vote, idols that you can play to save yourself. That didn't exist way back in the day. And then the jury system. So it's good. A good strategy to do with the jury is taking somebody to the end that you think that you can beat, that other people will vote you to win over that other person. So that's kind of what we've seen, especially in recent seasons. Okay, so I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about. I don't want to make this too long. So that's it. That's my lesson. Thanks for listening.